Now let's take care of some questions. We do have a question coming in from John. Our email question says, how long does it take to settle an estate? And can someone buy a house while it's still in probate? That's a good question. But before we even get to John's question, can you even answer what is probate? That's a question we hear, a word we hear a lot, but a lot of people don't know what that means. What is probate?
So I can answer that. Probate is the process of legally administering a person's estate. If they have a will, it's the process of making sure that that will was legally executed and that it's a valid will. And if there was not a will, it's the process of making sure that a person's assets goes according to state law. So it's actually the legal process that's required to change the legal title to property from the name of the person who has died to their beneficiaries or their heirs.
Okay. All right. Then John's question is, how long does it take to settle an estate? And can you buy a house while it's in probate?
Yeah, so I would say in terms of the time it takes to settle an estate, it's usually at least 6 months. I would say definitely plan for 6 months at least. It could be up to a year for an average estate, but some estates can last for multiple years depending on the different the assets that are in the estate and other issues that might be at play. But I would say definitely plan for 6 months to a year, and it could be longer depending on the estate. As far as whether you can buy a house while it's still in probate, that will depend as well. After it goes, you have to allow the estate to go through a certain waiting period where you allow any people who the estate owes money to respond to say that, the estate owes me money and I want to be paid. You have to allow that period of time to run, but the property can be purchased from the estate administrator or the estate executor if that is something that's desired.
Okay.
So I guess to answer that question, yes, it can be purchased through probate, but there might be certain timelines that would have to be followed before that purchase can be handled.
Okay. BJ, any thoughts?
I'm glad she's here.
I am too. This is good information. But before we get into break, let me just reintroduce her one more time. Veronica McClendon is her name. She has a practice right here in Macon, and